Well, Tim, here we are in San Diego, California, my hometown, and we're here to visit David Flores, who we always called Doc because he was our medic in Vietnam. And we're here to do an oral history of our unit. We want to make sure that every man that we served with together has an opportunity to share with the folks his story and so forth. So, Doc, it's a pleasure to be with you, and I thank you so much for coming out with us. And
You going to see the other corpsman too? There was one after me and one before me.
one before you got
KIA.
Yeah, he got it at Diamond.
Yeah.
And who was after you?
There was another one, maybe two more after me. One more? Two more.
That would, you know what? I was gone by that time, Doc.
Oh.
I got out of the field. I was out at Shamrock for about 2 weeks, and then they pulled me back because I was almost ready to go home.
Oh, I see.
So, well, Doc.
I only had 68 days left.
Mm-hmm.
September, August, 72 days left.
Mm-hmm. Well, Doc, I'm going to ask you here. Where were you born and raised?
Victoria, Texas.
Okay. And what's your date of birth?
11/23/1942.
Okay. And did you volunteer for the Army or were you drafted?
Volunteer.
You remember how old you were at the time?
21, 22.
And what were you doing in life at that time when you decided to join?
I was working at the Hilton Hotel in Los Angeles.
Okay. And do you remember specifically what caused you to want to go into the Army?
Well, the recruiter kept sending notices to my apartment, so I answered one of them, and I went down there and I talked to him. He said, that's my notice. He finally answered my notice. I got about 3 or 4 of them to volunteer, and I went, and right away, let's go.
And then how did they determine you'd be a medic?
Oh, they ask you what MOS did you want to take?
Well, yeah,
Well, the draftees were mostly
Yep.
infantry and artillery, and very few corpsmen were draftees. They were all volunteers.
And where did you go for basic training?
Fort Ord,
That's the same place I was at.
yes.
Yeah. And then when you went to your AIT, I'm assuming that was what? Was
San Antonio.
and that's where you got your medic training and so
Yeah,
forth?
they give you 10 weeks.
What was involved in that training?
Just how to put bandages on. That's all.
Did you work in one of the VA clinics or something?
No, nothing.
No practical application?
Oh, I worked in a hospital for 2 years in Germany before we were sent back to Vietnam.
Oh, I didn't
They
know
were
you.
short,
I didn't know you were in Germany.
Yeah, the 130th General Hospital.
Well, I'll be darned. Okay. And when did you get to Vietnam?
February of 1969.
Okay. And I'm going to skip forward.
Yeah.
What was the date you left Vietnam?
July 1769.
Okay. And when you got to Vietnam, I want you to think back and tell us what were your feelings when you got off of the plane and stepped foot in Vietnam for the first time?
Oh, it was hot. It hit you. And then you can see the body bags ready to get back on the sea, whatever it was, the cargo. The body bags were down there, and we got off, and he put us in a truck, and we went to the holding station. And then the different units would take people out of the holding station.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember when you arrived at the Charlie Company area, and did the company clerk come out and talk to you guys that were assigned, or how did you know exactly where you were going to be assigned?
He didn't. I was going to orientation in the plantation.
Okay.
There
yeah.
was a sergeant giving us orientation, and he was taking pictures. and he was charging $5. And I told him, Sergeant, I don't think you can do this. You're making money on the side. Well, he said, what do you think? I'm going to give you a free picture of you in Vietnam, and I'm going to pay for it? No, he said, you got to pay me. I'll take a picture of you for $5. And he did. He was taking the ones that were going for orientation.
All of
And
us,
we go
all of
all
us
day
got
long.
that picture, I think.
Yeah, we were taken individually, and then we would walk, and it'd get nighttime, and then I'd walk back and go in there and get something. Sometimes I didn't even get anything to eat. I'd go and fall asleep, you know, on the. It was hot, and it was okay, I suppose.
When
Then when Diamond 2, when they hit Diamond 1, and the medic got killed, then the next day the Diamond, you're going out today.
Well, I'm going to ask you a
Yeah.
question just before that.
Yeah.
When did you find out you were going to the Wolfhounds?
I was riding Coochie at the
So you were,
25th Infantry
okay,
Division.
so you were there already, so you were at Charlie Company.
Yes,
Okay.
uh-huh.
And then
Not in Charlie Company, just in where the
the
corpsmen were.
headquarters, oh, yeah, that's right.
The
That would be
first
head-
aid station.
And headquarters company, you were
Yeah.
assigned to them.
Yes.
That's right. So did you go out to the field in a helicopter or a truck or,
Helicopter.
and do you remember where we were at that time when you?
Diamond 2, right by the Cambodian border.
Okay.
At the fish hook.
Yep.
And then they hit us that night.
So that was your welcoming to Vietnam?
Yes, uh-huh.
Do you remember if you had to patch anybody up that night? Did anybody get hurt?
No,
or-
just one African American got killed, a concussion. He was looking out the bunker, and the mortar fell right close, and just a concussion killed him.
When you were going out to the field, were you issued a weapon?
Yes, he asked me, the guy at the farm, your conscientious ejector, you could get a 45 on the side or the weapon. I said, oh, give me the weapon. And I took the M16.
And I remember you always carried extra magazines.
No.
You had didn't you usually have a kind of a couple extra magazines?
No.
Just
Two in.
just the one in the rifle?
One of them, but it was empty.
So
No bullets in it.
so you weren't going to be doing any shooting anyway.
No.
Okay. And do you remember when you went out on your first ambush patrol?
Yes.
What was that? Describe that for us.
The guy that was doing, the one in the front, what do they call him?
The point man.
Yeah. He was very nervous. He was a young guy, about 19, and he had convulsions. Oh, he tripped a wire when we were coming.
A booby trap?
Yeah, a small one, and he just went berserk. He just went. So we had to get another one, point man, and I said, I forget who it was, and I said, oh, I won't point with you. So it was 2 point people. Anyway, but the Vietnamese already knew the ambush that we were on because that set off. So we went around the corner and whatever, and then that's when they hit us, and that's when they wounded 1, 2, 3. 4, and we were bogged down, and the lieutenant, that was the one that's crazy. He went and calling in the air support, the jets came in, and then the General Williamson came out, and he brought his helicopter in the back, and he was in about 10 feet away from me, and I was patching up. Oh, I went to get somebody and gave him some salt water and brought him back. And I turned around and I looked at him and I said, wow, hi. But he was kneeling down while everybody was down on the ground, and he was firing the support. He was watching the lieutenant giving the calling in support, and all the wounded went in his helicopter.
Oh, wow.
So they took his helicopter, took the wounded back. And he stayed there, and then the helicopter came back and got him. And then we ball out, and then the B-52s came in that night, and then we went out the next day and checked, and they had killed, there was 3 graves where the bunker was, and they buried, and we left that area. And that was it.
And that was your first go-around.
Yes, that was the first one.
What, do you remember any other ambush patrols that you went on that had any significant?
No. But there was 2 platoons besides us. There was another platoon further back. I don't know what they were doing there. But they had another corpsman, he was African American. And he was helping with the wounded. But I don't know where he came from, that platoon. Unless he came out with headquarters with General. No, I don't think the General came out with no corpsman. Anyway, he wanted to see action. He was out there. Man.
Sure.
So
And
there was some action. There was about 4 wounded. Nobody was killed, but I think one of them did die later. But there was 4 wounded, and he put them on his helicopter, and they took off.
basically, when somebody would yell medic, was that your?
Well, I was right there anyway, so there was
I mean,
nothing.
what I mean to say is, as though when you heard that, you would
Yeah.
just go to wherever.
Yeah,
They were.
I had to go look where the other guy was. He was real pale. He was going into shock. One of the RPGs hit too close to him, and I brought him back. And that was one, and then the other one the leg was broken. The other one was shot, and no really serious, but just one serious. But he never came back, that guy.
Did you give him a shot of morphine that night?
No, nobody. I didn't give nobody morphine. I only had 3.
Syrettes? 3 of the little Syrette, or the little things with the needle?
Yeah, they didn't need that. They were all talking, and they knew they were wounded. Not seriously wounded, but they never came back
And
after
then,
they left.
tell us about the time that the platoon went out on an ambush patrol, and you were on the other side of the berm, and when you woke up in the morning and you looked, everybody was gone.
No, I never happened.
I thought you told me that they left you out there once.
No. It would. I know where I was going.
No, I know you knew where you were going,
Yeah,
but didn't they take off before you got up?
No.
Oh, I thought you told me they did.
No, that was when we were walking with some special forces, just making a routine patrol, and somebody hit a booby trap, but he had blood, so I bandaged him up and drop out the blood, and then there was all the bandages with the blood there, and who would tell me? I think Pete had told me, you can't leave that stuff here because they'll be coming checking. So the lieutenant was with us too, and we were walking, so I lit the fire. And maybe the whole berm took the trees, and then the explosions, 3 more explosions after that. After he tripped that booby trap, and then he called in. We just had 3 more explosions, and we kept walking. And the special forces were behind the fire. Hey, he hollered, "Hey, what are you doing? How are we going to get through the flames?" The trees were burning and all the grass and everything. And I don't know how they got across, but finally they got across, and then they said, "Who started that fire?" I said, "I don't know." I said, "Maybe the Pete lit the fire." And Pete, anyway, that was one of them. And the rest of it was just patrols and nothing else.
Was that when Marquez was the platoon sergeant?
Yes,
Okay. And then who would you say your buddies were at that point when you were in there? Did you hang out with any particular guys?
No, all I knew was Garcia and Matias and you and Pete. And that's about all.
And did you take an R&R when you were in Vietnam?
Never.
You never got an R&R?
Never got my 3 years of vacation. I wouldn't have been on duty if I'd have took a 3 month vacation.
No, the R&R was 7 days,
Yeah.
and they'd let you go to Hong Kong or something?
No.
You never went?
No, because the sergeant didn't want me to go.
Wow,
I told
okay.
him, don't talk to me. He said, what are you doing here? He said, I told him, what do you mean, what am I doing here? I said, I came in. I didn't tell you to come in. No, he said, I didn't tell you to come in. I said, I don't need you. I said, who are you? I said, don't talk to me that way. He said, he was in charge of all the corps.
First, was he the
was
first
E6.
sergeant?
No,
Oh,
E6.
staff sergeant, okay.
In charge of the first aid station
Okay,
and all the
okay.
corpsmen. But I had got permission from the lieutenant.
Yeah,
When we were on the bridge, I said, can I go in and buy some stuff? He said, yeah, go ahead. So I jumped on the truck and that's when I went to the aid station and he found me there. You're never gonna come in again.
Oh
I
my
said,
gosh.
I don't know. Yeah, he was upset because I wouldn't show him no respect.
mm-hmm,
He said, I said, no. I said, well, I wasn't angry with him. I said, well, I'm here. I said, well, you're going back out. Well, I know I'm going back out, I said, because I don't want to be here with you. And so we went back out.
Did you have to deal with guys out in the field for VD?
No,
You never gave anybody a penicillin shot?
no. Just one that came out, and I gave him for infection. But that was, I didn't even remember that one. That was in Diamond 2.
Mm-hmm.
I gave, just that one dose I gave him. And that was it.
And I'm trying to remember this myself, so if you don't remember, don't feel bad.
No.
Were you with us, it was up around the fish hook, when we all got food poisoning? When they brought out,
Yes, that was a potato salad.
and it was,
They brought
Oh.
the chef out. He was very upset. I know we should have never had potato salad.
Yep.
It never came out again.
Yep.
And the field was too hot and the mayonnaise.
yep, everybody
And,
got sick on
A
that.
little bit, not too bad.
Yeah.
And it was over in a couple hours. But he came out. But he meant well, I suppose, with the potato salad.
Well, don't you think part of the problem was is they couldn't keep stuff cold enough to,
Well,
it
maybe
would warm up and,
somehow it got warmed up.
yeah,
Because in 1 hour, it's already spoiling the
Yep,
potato salad
yep.
in Vietnam. Well, anyway, he came out and checked it, the head chef, of food service, and
Mhm.
they never did that again. Maybe they served it back at the main camp, but not,
but they had refrigeration back there.
yes, but you have to cook it and serve it right away, keep it
Mhm.
cold.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
yeah, really need potato salad.
how many total months did you serve with the Wolfhounds?
4 months and 15 days.
Okay, and then did you have any other jobs in Vietnam besides being a field medic?
No,
Okay, and were you wounded?
yes,
And
Shamrock.
tell us how that came about.
Oh, they were counting the steps, a woman and the one that used to sell Cokes to us.
The Coke kids?
Yeah, they were counting. And that night, because every time we were there, they would send a rocket in. The first one fell away from there. And then the second one hit real close by the bunker. And it killed 4 people, 4,
Yep.
5,
I think it was 4.
4.
Were you in that same bunker with them?
I was sitting outside, and the E6 sergeant got killed, and Bailey got killed,
Yeah.
and I don't remember the other 2, but they went, and we knew we should have known better that they were going to hit us that night.
What were
If
the
everybody been in the bunker, nobody would have got killed.
what were the extent of your injuries?
Both arms and both legs.
Shrapnel?
Yes.
And you knew you were hurt pretty bad right then and there. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah.
Not bad, too bad.
so who does a medic call when he's hurt?
Oh, Alejandro, I hid my bag in another bunker underneath the steel plate. And he couldn't find it. I said, go and look underneath and put your hand in it. And then he found it and came back. and put some bandages on, and
Were we returning fire at that point?
no.
We didn't even return any fire.
No. Nothing.
Did they send any Cobras out or artillery or anything?
No, nothing. The next day they cleared the area.
Oh my gosh.
That was the colonel. They sent it out there just for ambush and patrols.
Now, what awards did you win when you were in Vietnam?
None.
Purple Heart,
Yeah.
Good Conduct,
Yes.
Vietnam Service and Gallantry Cross,
That's, yeah.
Bronze Star.
No. Nothing. He asked me, he said, "You gonna give us $10 and we put all your stuff in a plate?" I said, "No, I'm not gonna give you $10. They wanted $10.
And that was there or when you got back?
There, before it
Oh,
all
yeah,
this happened.
I remember that, yeah.
And yeah, they wanted $10. I said, "No, I'm not, I don't have $10.
And so
I don't want that."
that night at Shamrock, you get medevaced out.
Yeah.
They take you to the field hospital in
12th
Cu Chi.
evacuation.
And tell us what happened from there.
And from there, I spent a week, a couple of days, and then from there, they shipped us to Japan. And then from Japan, I was there for 2 weeks, and then they went to Air Force Base. No, we went to Alaska. And it landed in Alaska. The Red Cross came on, and then we stayed there, they refueled, and we went on to Chicago. I don't know what place was in Chicago, right outside Chicago. And then from there, I spent 2 days, and then we went to San Antonio.
And you're
They ask you
and,
where you live.
and you're a patient all this time. You're still
Yes,
recovering and so forth.
And so was Sergeant Brando.
Oh,
He
yeah,
had
yes.
been wounded, and he was all on the same flight. But it was full. That flight had, I don't know, maybe 100, 120 wounded.
My, oh, my.
They were all on stretchers. Very few were sitting in the front seats.
Mm-hmm. And then when you finally got to the last hospital
Yeah.
and you're recovering,
Yeah.
did you have any more time to do in the service?
No, it was over.
So you're,
And they-
what were
they
you,
said-
you were a 4-year commitment?
No, I stayed more than my time. He came in, he said, "You want to sign up for some more time?" I said, "No." But you have to, because they have to take care of you, you know, the treatment.
Oh, yes.
So I said, well, finally I went to the office where the lieutenant was, and I said, "Well, why didn't you sign when I was in the hospital?" Because I said I didn't want to. Now I want to sign. Can I sign? He said, "Yes." So I signed. So I spent 4 years and 2 months in the Army.
So when your career with the Army was over, did you go back home?
Yes. I wasn't supposed to go to San Antonio. I was supposed to go to San Francisco because I was living in Los Angeles at that time. And I was going to Los Angeles City College. And that's where I lived. And that's where I joined up. So I was supposed to say, "Where is your town of enlistment?" I said, "Los Angeles."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "No." He said, "But we have you for Houston, Texas. So you're going to Fort Sam." They would have sent me to Presidio. They had the Army base and the hospital there, Presidio.
Right at San Francisco.
Yes, I would have gone to that one. But then my parents, they wanted to come visit. So that would have been too far for them. So I said, "Okay, go ahead, Burke Army Hospital." And that's where I ended up. And there was a lot of them there from, Matias was already there. Matias, and who else was there? Garcia? No, Garcia. He was living, and he came to visit Matias and the other, and he said, the sergeant came out, he said, "You can't go." He said, "I was living in a medical hole." He said, "You cannot go off the bed." I said, "Who said so?" I said, "I said so." Well, I said, "I'm going." I said, "I'm going to go tell the captain." I said, "I don't care who you tell." I said, "I'm going to go." Oh, and the captain called me in. He said, "Well, you're going to do this and you're going to do that." He said, "I'm going to have to give you an." No, I said, excuse me, are you finished? He said, I'm going up to headquarters. I'm going to go talk to the general. And he said, boy, they ran out in the street and blocking me. I wasn't going to talk to no general. I
Sure.
just go and sit in the office
Sure.
in the lobby. He said, how are you here? I said, I'm on my way to the hospital. I just want to rest a while. Oh, okay. But don't talk to no general. Boy, that captain was, oh no. He said, don't talk to no general. I won't tell him what you're doing.
Yeah.
No, and he said, no, but I was just pulling his leg. I wasn't going to talk to no general.
What career did you pursue after leaving the Army?
Oh, I was going to go to 91C20 school, but you had to sign up for an extra year.
What was that MOS?
Those practical nurses in the Army,
Oh, yeah.
and they don't go out in the field.
Would they be at the evac center or like in Coochie?
Yeah, they would be working there.
Okay.
But never go out in the field because they spent a year training you. So they're not going to just throw you out with the infantry.
Yeah.
It was, they spend too much money on you, so they want you to stay
Mm-hmm.
for 4 years.
And then what kind of a civilian job did you get?
The same as 91C20. I went to nursing school
Oh, okay.
in Houston.
And this was a private school?
Yes,
Okay. How long did that take you to get?
1 year,
And then where did you go to work?
right there in the hospital, St. Luke's Hospital.
Okay. And how long did you do that?
Oh, I stayed there quite a number of years, but I don't know what was wrong with that hospital. Later I learned, that was 20 years later, 300 nurses walked off the job.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know what they were doing. Well, they have, all the hospitals, they always need nursing people.
Oh, yes.
Because it's 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You never stop.
Now, when you were in nursing, did you ever see any veterans in that hospital?
No,
So this would have been a private hospital.
because they had a VA hospital
Okay.
in Houston.
Okay.
That's where all the veterans would go.
Did you get married or have a family at that time in your life?
No, I got married in Mexico.
And about how old were you when you got married?
Oh, I was already 50.
Any kids?
No, she already had them. They were all full grown.
Okay. So how many stepkids do you have?
Oh, there was about 10, 11 of them. But they prefer, a few live in United States. One live in Indio, California,
Oh, yes.
and close to Cathedral in Palm Springs. And the other one lives in Chula Vista, and that was it, and the rest stay in Mexico.
What's the advantage for your wife to stay in Mexico and not be with you here in San Diego? If any, is there any advantage to that?
No, no advantage. She does all right. She's 81. She does all right in Mexico.
Good. And when you came back from Vietnam, the only guys that you saw pretty much was Matthias and
No,
Brandon
I didn't see him till we had the reunion.
in Vegas?
Yes.
Okay. And, but did you,
Oh, I saw him in San Antonio, Garcia and Matias.
where did
But,
Brando go, do you know?
Brandon went back to Iowa.
Okay, okay. And did you know at that time that he lost his leg?
No, he was just wounded. He had the leg.
Yeah, he lost it.
Oh, that's all. I didn't see him in the reunion with a lost leg.
No, he's got a prosthetic.
Hmm.
You didn't know
Because I
that?
wanted to go to.
You didn't know that, huh?
No, I knew he had wounded because he was across the aisle from me in the bed. But I wanted to go to Epworth because that's where the Divine Word missionaries have a college, a 4-year college out in the country town. Epworth is called, 90 miles from Chicago, west. And they teach you there. And if you want to become a priest or a brother, then they don't charge you for giving you an education.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to just study there, which they have very good education, the VA would have paid for it for 4 years.
Okay.
And it was just a small town. I don't think it's about 15,000, but they have a big, that's their the order, the missionary house. They sent them all over the world. Divine Word missionaries. They fought during the Boxer Rebellion.
Okay.
I said, what? And they're also, where were they? Also in, what are in India. They're also in India, Divine Word missionaries. They're carpenters, builders.
Okay.
They do a lot of different things. They do a missionary work.
Now,
And I never did go there, but I wanted to, It was I don't know where I got there. They have other places you could go to, but that one, there was a very good institution.
so Doc, tell us about when you went back to Vietnam. What were the circumstances? What caused you to go back?
Oh, there was groups go back every year. The VAW, they send their group further north, and we went with the black black water from the YMCA sponsored us from Saigon. So we would go there, the group, all different we would meet in Los Angeles and fly on China Airline. And we would go to Taiwan. And then Taiwan, the airline from Vietnam would pick us up. And it took 17 hours to get to Vietnam.
Was this at your own expense?
Yes,
Okay.
And we donate money to build school and different projects in Vietnam.
And what part of the country were you building houses in?
Nha Trang and one in close to the Mekong Delta, because every time the flood would come, if the schools were down too low, the water would just wash them away. So we built it up high, and we donated the money to build the school in Vietnam.
Yep. What did you
Every
learn?
year they go.
What was that place called? Something, the Reeds?
Oh, the Plain of Reeds.
What did you learn about that?
Oh, that was in the Mekong Delta. Always water, all the houses are high, because then the water will come every year when the Mekong will flood, and it just covers up everything. Even the roads are high.
And then, didn't you tell me that that's, when you and I were there, that's where most of the Viet Cong and NVA, they were hidden out in there because
Yeah.
nobody would go in there.
No, but it was just too deep. The water would be up to your chest, and they knew all the places. There were some high areas in there where they would hang out, but nobody would go in there, It just,
And what year was the first time you went back to Vietnam?
99
Okay, and then you went again, didn't you?
in 2000.
Okay. And now, besides just you guys donating money, did you actually pound nails and saw boards and?
No, she had me cleaning some Viet Cong lady, scrubbing the tile floor.
Oh, I see.
And she said, "Get down." She said, "Get down on the floor and scrub it." And I said, okay. I said, so I started scrubbing, and then we paint the window sill.
Okay, so you were just doing overall whatever it
Yeah,
took
real
to.
remodeling.
Okay.
And they take the old wheelchairs and they donate them there.
And what about kids? Were there a lot of kids around when you were there?
All the time. All the time.
I suppose they liked the Americans coming in, huh?
They didn't know anything about what we've done before. They were all small and different sizes.
So do you think their parents told them all about the Vietnam War with the
They
Americans?
could care less. They're not interested in that. They fought the Chinese for 100 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like Ho Chi Minh said, what are we going to do when the French came back after the Second World War? He said, we're going to eat French shit for 5 years, or are we going to eat Chinese for 100 years? He said, we'll take the French. So then they drove them out,
Yep.
and then we went in after that.
What else about your Vietnam experience would you like to share with me that I haven't brought up? Is there anything at all about your memories of Vietnam, good, bad, or indifferent? It doesn't matter.
No, it's all the same. We never gave them the 17 billion they wanted for war reparation. And they tore down the Hanoi Hilton. They got another hotel there. The ones, all the Air Force
POWs?
pilots, you know,
Mhm.
were in it, so they tore that down. So you can't see that no more.
Doc, what is your definition of a hero?
I don't have one. All the ones that went to Vietnam were draftees. And I don't know if you can call them heroes or not.
Was there anybody in particular that you served with in Vietnam that you thought might be a hero?
No. They wasn't thinking about that. They were thinking about how short they were and when were they going to get out of there.
Yep. So what advice would you give for today's generation and the many generations to come? What is your advice to them?
That's hard to say, you know. They don't teach them. I think 50% of the population don't know the three branches of government. And they're teaching them in these colleges, state institutions. America's not good.
Mm-hmm.
Not good. And they actually believe that. They've never traveled how the Vietnamese live. Vietnamese is right behind Bangladesh in poverty.
Today?
Yes.
So
All the new hotels you see is because the Japanese are building them, the Australians
I didn't know
build
that.
a bridge over the Mekong River, and they charge you toll to cross the bridge. The Australians built it, and the Japanese, and maybe but we don't. The French also build hotels there, real nice ones, 4-star.
And we're talking about tourism. This is all,
Yeah, well, business, a lot of business going on there.
okay.
A lot of business now, because they're capitalists now, the Vietnamese. Slowly but slowly, you're getting rid of the communists. No, it doesn't work.
Yep. Now,
So-
when you and I used to go out during the day and we'd walk out in the rice paddies and we'd go into the villages and stuff, do you remember those folks, the farmers and the peasants?
Yeah,
There's no difference today than there was when we were there, is there?
no, they're still illiterate.
And they're still growing rice,
Yes,
they're still in thatch, they're still in
Yeah.
hooches.
yes,
And that part of the country just never, all they wanted to do is just farm
yes. It
and
had
so
nothing to do with
they haven't been affected by this new capitalism and stuff, do you think?
Yeah, they like tourism. We went to several islands in the Mekong Delta where the tourists, and they want to sell you everything, the Vietnamese. But just the government won't let them. They have to keep their hand in it. They
So
want to
the-
keep their hand.
So they're not willing to give up that yet?
No,
the
they're not,
control- the
they're not
control.
completely going to free market and freedom of movement. You have to get you can't leave the Vietnam without getting permission from the communists. They won't let you leave.
Yep. Well, Doc, in finishing this interview, there's something that I want to say.
Well,
You know, the question, what do you think a hero is, or what's your definition of a hero? I've always thought this ever since I left Vietnam. I always thought you were a hero.
no.
Oh, yes.
It wasn't.
And the reason
It's hard to say, because basically the ones that it's all volunteer now. They they feel they want to give their country, or their grandfather and father were in the military, so they're going to go in the military. It just keep going.
well, the reason I think you're a hero is because we could always count on you. And you were always.
Well, there was no place else to go.
I know, but you were always there. Somebody got hurt, and you went right to them. And
yeah,
that to me is being a hero.
Problem was Johnson had us fighting with one hand tied behind our back.
This is true.
And all the ones that committed crimes in Vietnam, they tried to catch them before they would leave and get out of the service, because that's where Fort MacArthur is in San Pedro, California.
Yes.
That's the CID. That's where they do all the investigations of murder, rape, robbery, fraud, which there was a lot of it in Vietnam. But they have to catch them before they leave. Just like Lieutenant Calley, they caught him just before he left.
I see, yeah.
He sells cars in Georgia, Macomb, Georgia.
That's what he does today?
Yeah.
He's a car salesman?
Yeah, he's selling cars. Lieutenant Calley and other officers that already, they would kill people in free fire zones.
And so how
Just
long, I'm going to back up a little bit. How long were you a nurse?
I still am.
So this has been...
45 years.
Okay. Okay. And so, and I remember when I was here the last time, you were working in some hospital.
Some nursing home.
Or nursing home, yeah. But are you officially retired now?
No. I still have my license. I can work. And I usually take care of sick people in Mexico. I go and take care of them because they don't have the money to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And I do that in Mexico, buy the medicine for them. You really don't need a prescription there. Everything is underneath the table. If you show that Andrew Jackson, oh, they're ready. So, it's not up and up, but the high class, they got some real nice hospitals in Mexico City, and but that's for a lot of Italians live there, not only Americans, but I wouldn't want to live in Mexico City. 20 million people?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. That's 3 New York cities.
How many are in San Diego now?
Oh, San Diego population is about 2.5 million.
San Diego County?
Yeah, 3 million San Diego
Oh,
County.
my gosh.
And Tijuana is also 2 million.
Oh, my goodness. Well, one last question.
Oh,
What do you think the chances of us getting a wall up on this border?
oh he's gonna, Trump is not gonna give up. He's gonna get what he wants. How did he build the Trump Tower in New York with all the unions?
Oh,
He
buddy.
knew how to handle them.
Yeah.
And everybody got a piece of the pie, and he built, it's a beautiful building, Trump Tower. Well, it's a hotel.
Well, Doc, I want to
That's it?
thank you, my friend.
All right.
And, you know, it's been 10 years, and you still look as good to me as you did 10 years ago. I don't know what your secret is.
Well, I guess you're just stressed. You know what they tell you, get stress down, anxiety down, and keep moving so you keep the blood moving.
There you go.
Don't stand still in one place.
Well,
I do 10.
I'm just hoping that it's not going to be 10 more years before I come back down and we can hang
Well,
out.
Baker did the same thing like the other lieutenant did. And he's okay.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he is.
And the reason the special forces would change over to infantry because they could get promotions quicker. And if they stayed in special forces, well,
Usually
That's it. You
they'd get to
stay.
E7 or something, and that was about it, wasn't it?
no, but the officers also.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And there was, usually they get up to captain and they would stay there. And that was it. There was no place for them to go. So a lot of them would change over to infantry. And they could get promoted. And then they start moving up.
Well, Tim, I think that's going to conclude
That's
our
it.
interview with Doc Flores,
That
and
was a long interview. And,
only about 20 minutes, wasn't it?
no. Huh? 30, 35.